I was always a bit of a rebel. I was always
Word.
not doing what they expected of me as an artista. I was very hands-on, especially when it came to contracts. I became like the unofficial paralegal of Careless. And just everything happened to go wrong that day. In the midst of all of that craziness, have to just put on that straight face and say, everything's gonna be fine. I could say I'm very comfortable with where I'm at in life, and I'm very happy. I'm very in love.
As an artist and someone who has a business, how do you balance your creative vision?
How I balance the creative vision with that of the company?
So what is your next move? In today's episode, we will be talking to a multi-hyphenate artist and entrepreneur. Known for his unique branding and boundless creative pursuits, our guest started his career as a young actor, quickly gaining recognition as one of the most creative and stylish figures in the industry. Since then, he has emerged into the realm of music and fashion, making waves as an influential tastemaker, along with his recent debut at Milan and Paris Fashion Weeks. Let's all welcome James Reid. Welcome, James.
Doing my own applause.
Applause.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be back home.
It's good to finally have an opportunity to sit down with you again.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you. And the office looks great. It's like Google in here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Is this your first time here
This is
to
my first
visit
time.
us? I see. Okay. I wanted to start our conversation by, maybe talking about your origin story. Your on-screen presence has consistently showcased you as a trendsetter at a young age. But we're curious to know about how it started. Were you into fashion growing up?
Into fashion? I wouldn't say I was into fashion growing up. If we're talking about up until I moved here, I was 16 years old when I moved here. And then that's when I first joined show business. Not so much. I don't think that played a huge part of my life. Music did, definitely, when I was growing up. I think the closest I got to fashion was really my sister, Lauren. We're basically the same age. We grew up almost like twins. And I remember she was always the one I looked up to when it came to cool clothes, fashion, even when it came to music,
I see.
I kind of was always inspired by her when I was a kid growing up.
In Australia.
Right? Yeah. No, she was the cool one. And she knows this. I tell her that she was the one that, I looked to when it came to clothes. She was always ahead, but she was also very independent. Out of the two of us, she was the one that was more independent. So yeah, I would always, look to her. And maybe that's where I kind of get, a lot of my fashion sense today.
Was the style there a little bit because I wanted to ask, did you guys grow up near the beach or
Yeah, I mean, everyone in Australia grows up or lives somewhat near the beach. So, it's very laid back, very rugged. We'll pay extra money just to make it look like our clothes have been torn up and lived in for 15 years. Yeah, it's very laid back in Australia. It's very different to the Philippines. I could even go to the mall just wearing board shorts, slippers, and a backpack, shirtless.
It was really relaxed.
And that's very normal. So it's very different in Australia.
As a fashion-forward male figure in the industry, can you describe to us now your personal style? Because we've seen you evolve, of course, during your younger years to now.
Yeah. Hopefully you didn't pay too much attention to the 2012 to 2016 era. I was pretty confused at that time. But yeah, it has changed a lot. It has evolved a lot. I think the way I would describe my style now, it's hard to give it just certain words because I have different styles for different things. But generally, I like more vintage looks, androgynous cuts. I like dressing appropriately.
Yeah, so functionality, comfort, and maybe looking also appropriate and stylish at the same time. So since we're talking about style, James, what would you say are your maybe golden rules of style?
Golden rules?
Yeah, basic things that you always try to incorporate when you're, dressing up.
I don't think there's any golden rules. Actually, you know what? That's not true. I like things that are the opposite. I guess going back to what you were saying earlier about, me in show business and kind of the kind of role I played in show business, I was always a bit of a rebel. I was always
Word.
not doing what they expected of me as an artista, not doing what they expected from me off screen. So I kind of seen myself always as a little bit of a rebel. And then when it comes to clothes, I actually like it when there's something that I'm wearing that breaks whatever it is I'm trying to go for. Like if it's too masculine, what I'm wearing, then I'd like to break it with something that's feminine, like feminine jewelry, maybe something like floral or cropped shirts, flared pants, just something to break the masculinity. Or for example, you won't see me wearing like streetwear, but I will if it's preppy. So kind of like it's like a rule of opposites, kind of. I think that's
and something unexpected. Like you
something
want to break
unexpected.
like maybe a traditional look and like add something, unexpected.
Yeah, something unexpected. I think that's the best way to explain it. It's like a rule of opposites.
I've seen you wear bold choices, fashion choices. Was that always intentional? Or as you mentioned a while ago and we discovered you're really the rebel, that there are no rules?
It's really something I don't think too much about. It's just a preference, I guess. I don't like it when things get a little too... I'm sorry, I'm a musician, so I have to use a musician term for this. But like when I hear a sad song with sad lyrics and a sad melody, you know what I mean? It's too much for me. But then when you mix like a sad sounding track, but then the melody is quite happy, and then you're singing about not just sadness, but it's about missing a loved one. It's a bit more complex. It's a little bit more interesting. It lasts longer. So I kind of think about it that way too, if that makes any sense.
Yes, when it comes to
like when you hear like a basic happy chord, triad, major chord, it sounds happy. But if you add the fourth, it becomes bittersweet.
How do you keep reinventing your personal style?
Yeah, I guess that's something that I do naturally, because also as an artist, with music, my music has evolved a lot. My music changes because I change. I change as a person. I might have been a little more insecure about myself 5 years ago, which definitely would have affected the music that I made. It also would have affected the way I dress. But right now, I could say I'm very comfortable with where I'm at in life, and I'm very happy. I'm very in love, and anything's really possible is kind of my mindset. So I guess that mindset translates to the music that I make. It also translates to clothes. Anything's possible.
Okay, this is an interesting question. Are you a fan of luxury items, and do you invest in them?
Yes, if it really speaks to me. There's just like a different type of quality that comes with it. And there's a different type of like statement or story that comes with it. Like I was having this conversation with John about like a fashion statement. What makes something a fashion statement and not just clothing? I said it becomes a fashion statement when a piece of clothing transcends the meaning of its function. So it's not just pants to cover your legs. It means something. Or the skirt, for example, it's women's clothing that's all it is, just clothing. But then you put it on a man, it has a different meaning. It tells a story of like gender fluidity, of breaking norms.
I like that take on meaning and, like the profound meaning of something that transcends.
Yeah, it means more than what it is, which is always very interesting and very beautiful.
Okay, James, as one of the founders of Careless Music, what initially drew you to pursue a business in music?
Music was always something that it was, I didn't think too much about the business side of it, which is the reason why I started Careless in the first place. I wanted to make music just on my own terms. I think for so long in the industry, it was like almost 10 years, really following what I was supposed to do, sticking to what is marketable. And so much so that I was even told that I can't make the music I wanted to make. I had someone else make it. I went ahead and I made the album that I wanted, the way I wanted it. And then my management said, "Oh wow, this is great. Let's push this." If people only took more risks, I feel like we'd move a lot further and a lot quicker towards where I think we should all be headed, is a more international direction. That was kind of the idea that started everything. So, at the beginning, it was really just creating my own space, which was Careless Music, where I could create music freely. I didn't have to think too much about what the rules were, what was marketable, the box to fit within. And yeah, it was at that point, it was just pure making music for the sake of making music.
Yeah. So just the creative side.
Yeah.
And fueling your creative spirit.
Yes. And it was very fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
It was very fulfilling. Like come a time where, the business does become important, especially when you're working with other people and you're managing other people's dreams. So when it was no longer just me, there was a handful of artists we were managing. I guess my mindset started to shift a little bit. There's a lot of pressure, I guess, that comes with, managing other people's dreams.
Agree.
Yeah, because I know what it's like having my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how hard it is going for that dream when it's not something that's currently financially viable. It's not something that is currently mainstream. Yeah, I know how tough it is. So that's when I think we shifted in trying to find that balance of sticking to what Careless was all about, which was giving the artist complete creative freedom to make the music they wanted to make, to take risks, to fail, all that stuff that really helps you grow. And also making it sustainable for them. Because if it's not sustainable, then, what are we doing?
The point? Yeah. So was it hard for you transitioning or maybe wearing the creative hat and then the business side of it? Or were there people helping you out?
Definitely, it's really the team.
Mm-hmm.
At first, we were a very small team. So I was very hands-on, especially when it came to contracts. I became the unofficial paralegal of Careless because I was very particular when it came to the contracts. There's a lot to look out for. And I think it's kind of overlooked in the entertainment industry. I've been very passionate about it because I've just seen so many people fall into these traps. And one of them being the duration of the contract. I think a lot of people just really overlook that. They end up falling into perpetual contracts, like renewing contracts, and they don't realize they've just signed away 20 years of their working life. I've had an artist come to me and seek advice. He came to the studio and he was asking me, how did you do it? I thought my contract was over, and then turns out it's renewed for another 10 years. And he said it caused him a lot of depression. He's getting really lost. And then I mentioned to him, there's, of course, seek actual legal help. But at the end of the day, there's so much you can do as an artist to promote yourself. Even if that's the case, it's unfortunate. The best thing you can do is tell people so that they can also avoid that situation. But there's so much you can do as an artist to promote yourself, especially now with TikTok, with everything. There's so many ways that an artist can still promote their music, still get their branding out there, still collaborate with other artists. So it's not the end of the world, but still it's something that people shouldn't have to go through. So it's something we've been very, very particular about when it comes to the contracts in Careless.
Speaking of Careless Music, of course, I think that you guys have really made your mark in the industry, and congratulations. But I wanted to ask maybe what were the challenges in the beginning? Because, as someone who's creative, sometimes you're focused on precisely the creative stuff, and there are a lot of moving parts and logistics. Yeah. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges you guys encountered during the early days of Careless Music?
There's been a lot. Oh my God. Getting PTSD just thinking about some of them. No, there's Wavy Baby. So we did a music festival at the beginning of last year. And that was such a huge project. It was the biggest project we've ever done. And we're a very small team. And just everything happened to go wrong that day.
Like a perfect storm.
Literally a perfect storm. There was a storm that day and it ripped the ceiling off the stage.
What? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that was only I think that was the day before the show. But it rained. There was mud everywhere, up to your knees.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the stage flew off, and there was a problem with everything. Basically, everything that could have went wrong went completely wrong, and that was really tough. In the midst of all of that craziness, have to just, put on that straight face and say everything's going to be fine. That was super tough. But we got through it, and it definitely made me more thick-skinned. It definitely made me, work better under pressure. The team is amazing. I think they can handle anything at this point after being able to handle that whole situation. But yeah, it definitely made us stronger. Whatever it is the challenges are, it's always made us stronger.
What role does collaboration play in your creative process? And how do you find and foster meaningful partnerships? Because early on when you launched Careless Music, I think you are one of the few, creatives that really pursued partnerships or collaborations.
Yeah.
You tap, artists or international artists to work with you, to work on a single.
Mm-hmm.
I know this because, I've listened to some of the songs. How important is that for you?
I think that's the part where a lot of the advancement happens. It's where a lot we move forward, because it's when you collaborate with people, you create things that you couldn't have made by yourself. Mm-hmm. I think that's the most magical part about a collaboration. Collaboration is a huge part in everything we do, even within the team, not just artist to artist, but within Careless, like our group of creatives, the way that we collaborate with the artists, everyone's ideas get put on the table. But I guess, more than just artist to artist collaborations, we've had a lot of brand collaborations. And I think what's important is that it's just authentic. It's either a story or a message or something that you both agree on. That's really how we've survived and thrived in the past 3 years since the pandemic started.
And I think those are the best ones and really make a mark and are memorable. So James, you've ventured also into artist management with the likes of course, Liza Soberano, Lisha, and the A-Team, to name a few. What led you into that path?
It wasn't because I was so keen on I really want to manage you and I want to be a manager. It was just, I was really interested and curious in their talent and what they could do. And that, I guess that comes with having to manage them at the same time, But I was just so curious with their sounds and the potential that they had that I wanted to see it through. So then, of course, we got into talent management. But it's fun working with our artists. Also because I'm an artist myself, so I know what it's like to be in front of the camera and behind the camera. And a lot of the time, it's really based on what they want to do. Like, for example, Liza. When I was speaking to her over a Zoom call, she asked, so what's your plan for me? If I was to sign to you guys, what's your plan? Because normally people say, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to do 2 teleseries, and you're going to do this movie, and they're going to pair you up this person, and that's the plan. And then I said, me and Jeff, my partner, we said, we don't have a plan. What is it that you want to do? And then she stopped and she thought, no one's actually ever asked me what it is that I want to do. And then she said, okay, well, I want to do Hollywood. And I'm not sure if she said that just to kind of scare us, but then we said, okay, let's try. Let's see what happens. And luckily enough, after we signed Liza, for example, I was able to go to the US. We linked up with some producers and directors and management. And now she has her first Hollywood film.
Lisa Frankenstein, right?
Yes, yeah. And it's awesome. For me, it's just awesome to see a friend who's Filipino and they're on the global stage, which is exactly what I thought Careless or whatever it is we were doing, that's what I thought it should be about. It's just doing what we love and being so excellent at it that we can stand, on the global stage.
As an artist and someone who has a business, how do you balance your creative vision with,
If I balance the creative vision with that of the company, there's no need to. Okay. I think that's what's special about Careless is because the vision of the company is really to help the vision of the artists come to fruition. And in that way, we've always maintained just a very supportive role for the artists. It was never the intention for Careless to be such a huge conglomerate that it's bigger than its stars. It's bigger than its artists or the music or the films we're getting into. So I think we're lucky in that sense, and I'm very happy that that's the direction we took for the business. So it's never so hard, trying to balance my personal creative vision and that of the company, because it's really one and the same.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great, James.
Thanks for that question, because it just made me realize that now.
Yeah. And like your answers, like there's no need to.
Yeah, there's no
because
need to. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. How do you think your music also influences your fashion? Because, as a creative, of course, you need a creative expression.
Yeah.
And aside from music, the visual aspect to it may be the fashion or style when it comes to you or your branding. How do you think that your music influences, the way you dress up or your fashion?
My music, it affects my fashion, but then also my fashion affects my music, vice versa. Also music of other people and other people's it all kind of, I absorb it all. There's things that I resonate with that will, make sense to me, or that just personally I like, and then it's going to affect the music that I do, and in turn infect my fashion. So it really plays off each other. Yeah. And that's still something that's changing all the time. I can never put my finger on it, because even with the music, like, it's something that has evolved over time. Like, especially if you listen to my discography, like, I go from like ballads to R&B, hip hop to like almost trap. And then it goes into like electronic, and then funk, soul, retro, pop. And with the new single that's coming out soon, back to ballads. The music's always changing. And yeah, my fashion sense also changes at the same time.
Yeah. So it's very dynamic and it evolves continuously.
Yeah. But at the same time, like fashion and clothing is also very similar to music. Even the way you make music, like the way I choose what I'm going to wear today, it always starts with how I feel.
It's the mood.
Yeah, it's the mood. Like, it's how you're feeling today. What's the vibe? And then you kind of build it up from there. And then with music, I always start with the chords. When I'm making a song, I start with the chords first, because that will tell me what the emotion is. Like, is it a happy chord progression? Is it melancholy? Is it bittersweet? Is it feel good? And then that's when I begin building the song.
So you set the tone first, or the bass.
Yeah, it always starts with how you feeling today.
James, you recently debuted at Milan and Paris Fashion Weeks. Can you tell us about the experience and what it meant for you personally and professionally?
Oh, yeah. It was a very memorable trip. I have always wanted to go to Fashion Week, and it exceeded my expectations. Some of the shows I went to were mind-blowing. Being able to see the clothes firsthand, like up close and personal, the quality, and just being introduced to that whole world. It was a very eye-opening experience, I have to say. I headed over there with a very small team. I was with, of course, the John Lozano.
John.
Yeah. Ever since Milan, I've been calling him John Lozano.
John Lozano.
Yeah, there was someone that said it like that, and I'm going to keep it. Yeah, I was there with John, with Isa Pressman, my girlfriend. We were there together. She is also one of the biggest inspirations right now for me when it comes to fashion. Her taste has definitely influenced me a lot. Dave. Yes, of course. Dave Graciadas, he was there with us to help shoot everything, like all the content. It's a very small team. We went out there. I'm not that high maintenance. So it was fun. We kept it tight. We started in Milan. The very first show I went to was Fendi. It was very intimidating at first, I have to say. I was kind of nervous. Wasn't sure why. It was just, there's this air in Milan Fashion Week it's very electric. It's very exciting. It's very, gets the nerves going. But it was cool. I walked in and I also met James Franco, like one of my idols. Yeah, I met him there too. It was really cool. We were able to catch up after the show and went out for drinks. I had a little fangirl moment. Unfortunately, I didn't get a photo because I was too shy. The next one was Giorgio Armani, and that was a completely different experience, I have to say. I was lucky enough to be able to meet him in person. A very sweet old man. The show itself was amazing, and I didn't realize how grand it was. When you're there, like front seat, it's very grand. Even though the models are still quite far away, you can see how like the quality of the clothes from a distance. It's really impressive.
So James, how many shows did you do in Milan?
In Milan, there was 3 shows.
3 shows.
Just 3 shows, yeah.
And actually, I saw you at the post of the Giorgio Armani Instagram.
Yeah.
And we were all like, wow, James made it to the IG.
Yeah, I must have left a good impression because I was surprised too. I was like, that's strange.
That's great because it's also refreshing, and I think it's about time for like a Filipino man, at least a creative, to represent us in that global stage.
Mhm.
And I think that you going there also signals the fact that, males should embrace fashion. And there's this renaissance of really, like really trying to embrace fashion, and we should normalize it.
Yeah,
right?
we should. Yeah, we should. We like men are definitely into fashion. I just think it's something that maybe still feels weird to say, but not at all. Like it was such an amazing experience. Like the whole men's fashion week, and everyone is really into it. There's so many iconic people there. Like after Milan, we went to Paris, and the first show I attended was the Louis Vuitton show, and seeing Pharrell there, he's a musician, he's an artist, and I think he's just like an artist that has really, really good fashion sense, and that's what happens. That's what you get when you have like a creative and artist who has just really good taste in clothes, which is really cool. It was very inspiring. Also being an artist, and that show was something else. Just like also the star power. I was like getting what's the term? Starstruck. How did I forget that word? Like starstruck as well. It was really a star-studded event. The line was amazing. I loved the whole like Americana Western look. It was cool. It was a different take on it too with the Native American tribes. I think he even got them to make some of the artisans to collaborate on like some of the bags, some of the clothes, which I thought was really cool.
You're right. He's such a genius. I like the fact that he also played with some of the brand's core products, like the Speedy and the Keepall.
Yeah.
And it also resonates to a woman. Like it's a reimagination of a Speedy or all these, iconic leather.
Yeah. Also, a lot of shows I went to, there were a lot of female models modeling the clothes, showing that it's also, for women too. There was some of the clothes I saw the women wearing. I was like, damn, I'd wear that too.
Yeah. And like what you're wearing today, that's a Pixel jacket, Louis Vuitton, right?
Yes, the Pixel camouflage. Yeah.
James, I'm curious, how did this opportunity come about? Because you've traveled abroad in a different capacity, as a creative, as an artist, and then now a style setter and a tastemaker during Fashion Week. How did this opportunity come about?
Yeah, I think people were at first a little confused. Like, what is James Reid doing there at Fashion Week? And at first I didn't understand it. I'm like, why am I not allowed to go to Fashion Week? But I had a blast. I had a blast just being there. And I'm super grateful to be invited by, these fashion houses that, some of the best in the world. So I'm super grateful that they invited me out there to watch and see those shows. I'm really there just to enjoy it. I wouldn't say that I'm a fashion expert or a trendsetter. I'm just a creative. I'm an artist, and I was just there enjoying and being myself.
Yeah. You're there for the experience and be inspired.
Yes,
right?
I was there for the experience. I was definitely inspired. Maybe one day I'll make my own fashion line.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? John?
James, what's your biggest takeaway from, that experience?
Generally, people aren't afraid of anything when it comes to clothing, any type of stereotypes when it comes to clothing. And I think that was the biggest takeaway for me. And I guess kind of like, the way I also see my own fashion or my own rules or lack of rules is that there's really none. And people were commenting on some of the the pieces that I was wearing, like wearing a pink suit, I was wearing a skirt, those giant shorts with like skirts. Because for me, I'm very comfortable with my own sexuality, with my masculinity. It's, the shoes I'm wearing or the pants I'm wearing don't really define my sexuality. It's just my taste.
You mentioned a while ago you met, Giorgio Armani himself. How was that experience? Did you guys have something to talk about, or you got the opportunity?
It was very brief. It was very brief because everyone was trying to get to him, and luckily I met Roberta Armani backstage. We had a photo together, and she wanted me to meet him and say hi. So she brought me straight to him through the crowd, and then I just got to meet him very briefly. Yeah, like I said before, he's a very sweet old man, just holding on to me. I was like, when he was walking out there by himself out on the stage, I was like, wow, this should be really should be there someone with him. My dad's old, that's why. That's just that, like.
How old is your dad now?
He's I think he's 80, 81.
Okay.
Yeah. 81.
I met him a while back, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still alive and kicking.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
He doesn't seem like he's 81 though. Yeah, he still acts like he's 21.
Would you go back again? Is this something you actively want to pursue?
I honestly can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait till the next season. Hopefully, if my schedule allows me to, because of course I'm prioritizing like the music. Right after this interview, I have a lock-in in the studio with an American producer, so I'm very excited for that. But I'm still focusing on the music. I'm really excited for a lot of the singles I'm releasing this year. And if I can find time to squeeze in to head back to Fashion Week in June, I think it is, that would be great.
Okay, so James, given that music and fashion goes hand in hand, what's next for James Reid?
What's next? Like I said earlier, I'm going to the studio right after this. So I have to get back in the studio. I have an album to finish. Woo. And I'm very excited. The way that this is like the next few single releases are going to come. It's totally different, I think, what I've been doing in the past few months, or past year actually. Music and also film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Currently working on a few scripts right now, getting involved in the film process.
Is it more of like producing or really?
I wouldn't really call myself a producer, but as a creative and helping coming up with the story, the characters, a little bit like a producer, I would say. And of course, getting help from Liza. She is a producer. I think she has like a director's mind, and she will be getting into that a lot more as well. And I'm looking forward to her helping me with also my projects. If anything, I want to help inspire people to take risks.
Yeah. Biggest takeaway from you. Yes, take risks.
Yeah, take risks. That's where you do the things you never thought you could do.
And congratulations in advance.
Thank
and
you.
We look forward to seeing more of your work. James, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was such a pleasure talking to you again.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. So, James, what is your next move?
Make it big and make it mega.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of The Next Move. This has been your host, Piri Reyes Isidro. If you enjoyed our conversation and want more updates, subscribe to the Mega channel. Bye, everyone.